Administrative excellence is the key for unlocking the full potential of any organization. It requires a commitment to excellence in all aspects of leadership, management, and operations. On that note, I call Dr. Raj Singh, Vice Chancellor, Jain Deemed to be University, to address the gathering. And before that, I request Dr. Suchitra R. Nair, Head of School, School of CSNIT, to welcome Dr. Raj Singh.
Our distinguished guest this morning, Mr. Ramkumar Ramachandran, who's director from GE, Mr. Mike Murli, Chief Fund Officer, Capgemini, Director, Dr. Chitra Nair, my colleagues from the faculty, staff, all delegates, researchers, scholars, students from different parts of I left my Air Force. I had done my CFA program by then, and I was 184th CFA in the country from the 5th batch, we were less than 200. And believe me, when I came to academics, I joined my alma mater as a faculty member. I used to think that finance is the beginning and finance is the end of the world. There's nothing beyond this, because this talks about money. I worked with that institute about 3.5 years and then moved to a more multidisciplinary institution, the Amity Group, which I served 15 years. And when I came in contact with my colleagues from other disciplines, whether humanities or science, engineering, different sub-disciplines, I realized how inadequate I was, absolutely inadequate. And then the different kind of journey started. I remember my own colleague who worked with me as dean, I was heading the business school, I learned the basics of training from him. I learned the basic of organization behavior from him. You'll be surprised to know, though I was head of the institution, I used to change his transparencies when he used to conduct training sessions. And this is how I learned the basics of training. And this happened training after training, across the country, in corporates, within the business school, when we conducted training. And I have no hesitation accepting that the seeds of multidisciplinarity were sown in me in that period of 98, 99, 2000. And there was no looking back, because as I explored it more and more, I found it absolutely fascinating. And I came to Jain only roughly 3 years ago, but I have experimented. In 6 universities I've had it as Vice Chancellor, and it has only shown encouraging results. It has been appreciated, it's been admired. One of the instances I would like to mention is that when you go for ranking and ratings, one of the criteria is number of publications. I personally don't have so many publications, believe me, because I come from a very unique kind of academic background. But then it is sufficient to be a Vice Chancellor. Of course, it can't put me in the list of top researchers. One of the professors from US, one of our partner university, mentioned that how to increase citation index. And it was a revelation for me, and he said, in India, we're very fond of citing professors from foreign universities. It looks impressive, you know. Oh, I have cited so-and-so foreign author from Harvard, Yale, Princeton. He said, start citing your own colleagues from the department and other department of the university. And say that mutually, you increase the citation index of the university. But then the second professor in the same discussion said, how can you cite if you have nothing to do with other discipline? And that's where the justification for interdisciplinary research comes in. When you start working together, you will find some sense in what my neighboring department is doing, what my colleagues from other departments are doing. And believe me, as a body of departments within the university, you become a force to reckon with. Your citation index will go up, your quality of research will go up, and you will be acknowledged much more widely than what you would be if you're within your own department. Last week only, we had a professor from University of Florida who visited us, and he was talking about aerospace engineering. Now, we all know that in aerospace engineering, there are very few journals. And therefore, no matter how quality papers you publish, your citation index will not be very high, because not many people read those kind of journals. Again, a justification for multidisciplinarity comes in. And because of this very unorthodox, very different kind of background, I kept on experimenting, and one of the reasons for this was I don't belong to a particular school of thought, that I come from this elite school of thought or that elite school of thought. Whatever comes to your mind, you start experimenting. I think that's what made the beginning at Jain when I took over in November 2020. And the first interaction I remember with the Honorable Chancellor was that he said, last 30 years, I've been debating that how can we start an education system where we stop enrolling people who come for a job. He said, 6 years later, I want to place a board outside Jain University that job seekers don't apply to us. And he asked me that, can we do that? I said, of course it's possible. We have to work consistently for this and work over a long period of time. And that's where the concept came in, where students can earn through earn while you learn scheme. And he said, I have in my mind, nobody could put it on paper and conceptualize and put it institutionally, how it could be done. And students, this is where this concept of much talked about, much resisted, much hated initially concept of project-centric learning. And believe me, 10 days ago, this was the second year of this, I visited School of Science, who were displaying the project-centric learning outcome. I wish they could invite everybody. I spent 4 hours there and could see only half of it. There were about, I think, 600 project ideas were displayed. There were student groups who are ready to hit the market with their own enterprise. There are students who have applied for filing a patent and on the verge of being published. There are people who are on the verge of getting grants for this patents. And there are many who have reached from concept to lab stage. They're experimenting. And you know about 3-4 months ago, how the student of science won the best prize in the entrepreneurship conclave awarded by the governor of Karnataka, who was also invited with him for a cup of tea. Because I'm talking to students and teachers, whenever we talk about multidisciplinarity, it requires much more than these words. And you'll be surprised to know, last July, there was a conclave of vice chancellors, 350 vice chancellors were invited. The Prime Minister himself inaugurated the conclave in Banaras, his constituency. And the theme of the conclave was to assess implementation of national education policy in this country, at what stage we are. You will be surprised and shocked. 90% of the participants did not know the difference between multidisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity. And almost everyone used these words at drop of the hat. In normal conversation, you will find these words quite often used. I can't blame the students for this. If the policy makers and the leaders, deans, directors of the leading institutions did not know about it, I have nothing to say as far as understanding of students is concerned. And when I spoke about it, I was given to speak for about 10 minutes. And people, the chairman of UGC said, I never thought on those lines you would have conducted some kind of orientation sessions for the vice chancellors, deans, and directors. At Jain University, we are a multidisciplinary university, no doubt about it. Multidisciplinarity means you have multiple disciplines being taught in different departments. You have 26 departments in different areas. And students can choose courses from multiple disciplines. It doesn't make us interdisciplinary. And the real benefits of this don't come to the fore. Interdisciplinarity comes in when two disciplines start interacting. When you start borrowing the philosophies, frameworks, methods, techniques, tools of one discipline into other, and you start seeing them in different perspective, interdisciplinarity comes in. Learning opportunities for you expand tremendously. And when you go beyond this, when these interacting disciplines try to solve real life problems, that is called transdisciplinarity. You will agree with me, human beings are multidisciplinary. How can education be single discipline? And if we offer single discipline education, how can it be useful for us? We need to sit back, ponder over it, and think that we want to move close to real life or we want to remain in isolation. I think maybe without full understanding of these three terms, students and faculty members of CS and IT took it onto themselves. I don't know whether they took it willingly or by force. Whatever the reason, they took it. And today, we see this conclave happening. We see it a reality. And the benefits you will realize once you finish this. I have absolutely no doubts that each one participating, either as a presenter or as delegate or a listener, will stand to gain tremendously. The understanding of the concept and tools on the ground I kept wondering for the last many, many years, I'll go and give lectures after lectures to faculty, FTPs, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, done. They will listen, they'll clap, great idea, but believe me, when they go back, nothing happens on ground. And to make it happen on ground, you need academic tools. It's a very operational issue. And unless you have those tools, it will remain an exercise on paper. We went beyond this, and with all humility, I must say that. I do not know about what's happening in the world. I was talking to Mr. Ram in the morning before we came in here. I have not come across these kind of concepts. I have studied 3 top universities who boast of entrepreneurship, on top being Babson. Harvard lays a lot of emphasis, as Syracuse, who participated in last conclave of ours in August last year. I have studied what they're doing. Believe me, it's not even 1% of what we can do. I'm not saying we have done. We have made a humble beginning. Last year, I had 20 success stories. This year, I'll have at least 200 success stories. Next time, we'll have 2,000 success stories. At that rate, it's growing. And we're documenting them in the form of case studies. One small instance before I finish. 2021, I was talking to faculty from humanities. And they said, sir, entrepreneurship, we from humanities, what are you talking? We're not meant for entrepreneurship. And I was a bit disturbed, disheartened, and I'd done my research. I do my homework before I go there. So I pulled out a piece of research from Oxford, which said how the people from humanities can become the best entrepreneurs, better than anybody else, and shared those insights with them. And I said, it's not something I am saying, you not believe me. There's something, a top university, which is Oxford, it's saying this. You may like to please read this particular paper more in detail, and if you're convinced, think about it. And this article, I remember at the end, said that any enterprise does not require a person from one discipline. If you require that, you can hire them. And that's how organizations come into existence. No organization can survive and thrive based on people coming from one discipline. I can vouch, you must have worked, you must have seen in your own family, surroundings, in your companies where you went for internship or any work. You end up interacting on daily basis with people from different backgrounds. You don't talk to only computer science engineers. You don't only talk about IT professionals. You talk to people from different backgrounds. Even in your day-to-day, when you come for the classes, you interact with everybody. Because life, the human beings are multidisciplinary, and we need to move closer to that. And I think it's a beginning in the direction. My wholehearted congratulations and admiration for all of you, the student body, the faculty members, the director. As I said, whatever way you took it, I'm grateful to you that you took it, in fact. I was citing the School of Science instance of 10 days back. I have no hesitation saying I wish Madam Asha Raji was here. She was the one who made my life maximum hell. He said, this cannot be done in science. And believe me, she herself was surprised. You can't imagine what students took us to. 3 student groups are writing 3 books on the lakes of East Bangalore, North Bangalore, and South Bangalore. They become authors. The students have composed a biotechnology song to represent a concept. There are people who are conducting road shows to present data collected on various social issues. Science students are doing it, and helped by forensic science students and computer science, data science kind of students, because they come from different disciplines. And the whole perspective changes when you start talking to student colleagues of different disciplines. Whatever you thought, I told you example of my finance and OB kind of marriage. It changed my life and changed forever. I'm sure lives are changing every day in each group. My request would be, please take it more seriously, even if you don't understand it fully. You will understand over a period of time. One of my bosses used to say, I'll tell in Hindi and then translate. He used to say that, समझो तो मानो और ना समझो तो मानो और समझने की कोशिश करते रहो. If you understand, accept it. Even if you don't understand, keep trying to understand. Believe me, we don't have all the answers in the beginning. Many answers we'll find when you undertake the journey. Many you will find with the help of faculty members. Many you will find with the help of experts within this country. And many you will find with the experts outside the country. And many for which don't have the expertise will find answers jointly. With that note, I would say carry on with these efforts. It is only and only laurels for the university. You have greater responsibility about taking this university to greater heights. We've reached 3.71. Remaining there is more difficult because every year is becoming more and more difficult, the competition intensifying. We have to keep ahead of our contemporaries and also keep in mind the growth they have. With a different path we have charted out for ourselves. And by doing this, of course, you will serve yourselves, your family, and the society and the community. But I think it will be a great tribute to our own founder, who will be joining us shortly, I understand, Dr. Chandra Roychand, who has carried this idea for 32 years and has been so restless. I've seen his restlessness, when he talks to me alone for hours. He says, I wish somebody can conceptualize and roll it out in my university. I have a dream. I think it will be a great tribute to that great entrepreneur who has founded this company. With this, I thank Suchitra ma'am and every one of you to have me this morning. All the best. I'm sure this will be a great success. And I look forward to many, many more conclaves like this, much bigger in magnitude and volume. Thank you and God bless.
A very good morning to each one of you. I'm extremely delighted to welcome you all to the second day of the extravaganza, Ignitus 2023, a multidisciplinary conclave. I gain immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to the dignitaries and the media present here. I warmly welcome Dr. Chandra Roychand, Chancellor, Jain deemed to be University, and Founder Chairman, Jain Group, in his absentia. It's my honor and privilege to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Raj Singh, who is the main idea behind this huge event. Thank you, sir. Also, I welcome Dr. N.V.H. Krishnan, Registrar, Dr. Sridhara Murthy, Director of Academics and Planning, in their absentia. Also, I extend my warm welcome to Mr. Ramkumar Ramchandran, Director GE, and Mike Murli, Chief Fund Officer, Capgemini. I'm happy to say that the first day of the international conference, organized by Uttunga, ICRD STEM, held at our Knowledge Campus, Jayanagar yesterday, was a huge success. Speaking about Uttunga, the student forum, Uttunga, the Nexus of Young Minds, is a student forum that focuses on the holistic development of the entire School of CS and IT, Jain deemed to be University. The forum's belief of involve, innovate, and inspire is what makes the forum very unique. The forum mainly focuses on information technology-based events like IT Fest and international conferences, and so much to offer to society through its events. The response from the participants for ICRD STEM, which was organized yesterday, was incredible. It was overwhelming to witness the expert talks from industry. Mr. Suman De, product manager from SAP, who spoke about the recent trends like chatbot, digital twin, and other topics. The other speaker, Mr. Sarang Katsai, security consulting manager, data and AI security, Accenture Canada, enlightened the audience about the various facets of data privacy, like personal identifiable information, GDPR privacy, that created a lot of interest amongst the students and faculty members. We also had Dr. Alessandro Bruno, AI scientist, Illum Lab Italy, for his insightful, informative, and interesting talk that highlighted the digital AI revolution. He traced the revolution of generative AI by specially focusing on stable diffusion models and ChatGPT. Also, I'm delighted to let you know that we have received around 950 papers. Out of that, we accepted 850 plus papers from 15 plus nations worldwide that added a lot of value and meaning to the existing body of literature. The second day event, Ignitus 2023, is a multidisciplinary conclave which aims to provide a platform where experts from different disciplines can come together and can exchange ideas, learn from each other, and promote interdisciplinary research. By bringing together experts from different fields, we can pool our resources and knowledge to find innovative solutions to the challenges we face. We have invited some of the best minds in the respective fields to participate in this conclave. We have speakers from different disciplines like science, engineering, healthcare, social and cultural studies, arts and cinema, and many more. We have invited some of the best minds in the respective fields to participate, and I'm confident that the interactions and discussions during the sessions will lead to insightful exchanges and valuable takeaways that can be implemented in your respective areas of work. Once again, I wholeheartedly welcome you all to Ignitus 2023, a multidisciplinary conclave hosted by School of CS and IT in association with Uttunga, the Student Forum. So let's get started and make this conclave a huge success. Thank you. Have a great day.
We are delighted to launch the proceedings of this conference. The publication of these proceedings marks an important milestone for this conference and for the field as a whole. We are grateful to the authors, reviewers, and editors for their hard work and dedication. I request all the dignitaries to come on the stage and launch ICRD STEM 2023 proceedings.
Be regarding the first expert speaker for today.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, sounds a very cliche way of starting, but it works when you want to check the mic, especially when you have the next speaker as Mike Murli. You want to check it, right? All right, thanks for inviting me. Really honored to be here as a speaker here. First up, many thanks to Dr. Suchitra and Dr. Raj. It was very inspiring to know the kind of work that you all do. So happy to be sharing the stage with Mike Murli too. Let me start a little bit about myself. You can call me Ram. I work in GE Healthcare. Right? I'm a senior director of engineering. What I do on a daily basis is to develop software products that touch human lives. And what I do is all of us go through these medical tests, and it spits out certain kind of images. What I write is a software that analyzes all of these and then gets out certain clinical KPIs or operational KPIs to the hospitals, largely used by the radiology team in the hospital, right? And I promise that will be the technical depth that I'll go in the next 30 minutes. I'll make it a bit lively and easy for you all to understand, right? Am I audible firstly? Okay, good. Like I said, I'm a native of Chennai. I was born and brought up there, did my schooling under the watchful eyes of my grandmas. And, but I've spent more than half my life in Bangalore, right? I came here for work in late 90s. And, both by education and profession, I'm a software professional. And I specialize in engineering leadership and software development. That's about me. For those who are curious to know what is that RA square that is, my theme of storytelling is going to go in the flow of some squares. On a lighter note, I don't like to go in circles. Okay, standard stuff. Clicker. You go up, you go down. Doesn't work. Okay, there it is. All right, so when Dr. Suchitra reached out to me to come and then address you all, I started to think about what sort of lessons that I have learned in my life. That is what I wanted to share with you all. Now, when I sat down to put down those thoughts, the first thing that hit me was, what did I learn? Right? After all, we all did our schooling, colleges, but here we are talking about life lessons. So it's not going to be from universities. It is going to be from based on my own personal experiences, right? When I started to, analyze where did I learn these from, there are largely four, let's say, channels of learning that I went through personally. The first one, is this is probably the best way to learn. You do it yourself. We are talking about conducting experiments, learning it all by yourself. You acquire a new skill, you put that to practice, and you learn, right? So fundamentally, you do it yourself, you learn. But very interestingly, and on a contrary basis, you don't do anything, you still learn, right? You don't do anything, you still learn. Sometimes it may sound a little funny. You all must have seen this 5-star ad. The guy sits there and does nothing. he gets some accolades from somebody. But personally, if I've not done something, it has become a costly mistake in my own life. We will hear about that as well. So you do something, you learn. You don't do something, you learn. And that, these are two ways. And the third way that I figured out is, it's very popular and effective and inspiring way, is you learn from others. You see how others do certain things well, and you learn from that. I think largely we are looking up to our teachers or professors or mentors or your gurus to learn from them. Right? This is very interesting way and very inspiring way. It'll stick with yourself for a long time. And what do you guys want to guess? What's the fourth way? You do it, you learn. You don't do it, you learn. You learn from others when they do something. The fourth one is, any guesses? You learn, I'm sorry. Okay, there it is. Right. So you learn from others' mistakes, right? You've seen a lot of people do certain things, and you see them fail. The easiest way and the cheapest way to learn, based on what I think, is you learn from others' mistakes. So you do, you learn. You don't do, you learn. You see others do, you learn. You see others don't do, you learn, right? So you will see these themes sort of flow through the rest of the slides. And that's probably why the RA square was also put in, right? So there is a square theme that I wanted to share with you all. Having said that, let's now start. I didn't mean the start of the life lessons here. This start is very relevant to you all here, right? We've got about what 1,000 people here, 500,000 people here, right? 1,500 people. So there are 1,500 people here who are going to graduate out and complete their graduation journey, and you're going to start or embark on a new journey. So the more important question here is, how do you start? Right? You all will have a purpose in your life, which is going to determine whether you're going to be landing into a job, or you want to be an entrepreneur running your own business, or interesting people could, let's say, choose a career in art, music, or whatever, or you may also want to become a sports person, whatever be it, right? No matter what you choose, based on your purpose, which is very important to have, the critical question to ask here is, how do you start, right? And that's the question that I all want you to think about. My learning, which I didn't have, like I said, you don't do something, you learn. That's the costly mistake. You have to strive for excellence. Let's say you choose to be a sports person, you have to be the world's best. That's the way you start, right? You have to start with a goal that reaches, there's no limit to it. You have to aim high and reach for the sky, right? Sometimes it may sound very standard problems with the clicker. Sorry for that. So it may sound a little odd or offbeat for you to think, hey, you know what, I'm going to start a career. I want to land in a job. What do you expect me? Do not do the same mistake that I did. There you see there. I personally did not have an extravagant goal of building software. And I just landed in this because I was kind of a happy-go-lucky guy, took a job, happily worked for some time. But then slowly I realized, of course, I had some time to pull back on those mistakes. I'm today proud of building some of critical applications and software products that are touching people's lives. They are as critical. Some of them in my previous work lives has been mission critical applications and stuff like that. So really proud of building, and you got to strive for that excellence. The thing that you don't want to do at this stage is to have some inhibitions and restrictions. Shed them off and open up and have more curious mind to try and achieve some things that nobody has ever tried to achieve. And that's how leaders are born. Okay? Now, I said I did not have such a high aim, but interestingly, one of my family member, obviously, had a very high goal for my own self, my grandma, right? I mean, when I was a very talkative young kid, and the elders in the home would usually, brush you off, and they would ignore you. But my grandma once told, that loosely translates as one day there will be 1,000 people listening to you, and today her prophecy has come true. Right? On that lighter note, I'm going to see these life lessons that I have personally learned through my grandma's lens. Okay? So let's move on. So now that you've started and you have a very high goal, what's next? Let's say you chose to be an entrepreneur, okay? What's next? Which means you've achieved your goal. Start from, what's that? PCA, DCA, okay. All right. Okay, so now that you have a goal and you've achieved, what do you do then? Looks like your life is complete? No. It looks like this empty screen. Why don't we start watching this movie, RRR? That's not what I mean. I mean a different RRR. I mean, neither this is an Oscar stage, nor are we going to watch RRR here. But the RRR I mean is, once you achieve a goal, reset the goal. You have to, the clicker has to be reset. You have to reset, restart, and refocus. Now, if you do not do this, there is a high chance that you will not only become stagnant, right? Not only be complacent, you will also become worse in what you are going to do. Because remember, what took you to this place is not going to take you to the next level. If you do not act on it and figure out those cues in your life, you're going to collapse like that building. Remember, when you start, have a goal, and once you achieve, you have to reset and restart all over again. Now, if you do not do this, you're going to be collapsing like that building. And what do you do in that time? You have to take another goal. It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to start with a goal and be off target for some time until you achieve it, because in your new goal, you may not be as skilled as what you were in the last, but then it's okay to have a target and miss it by margins rather than not having a target and perish. And at that stage, you got to remember, you got to take some baby steps, one thing at a time, focus on one thing. I've showed this as learning from others. Dr. Raj talked about multidisciplinary. I had a personal learning on multifunctional skills. I started my career in certain domain. Over a period of time, I looked up a lot of mentors and picked up knowledge in multiple functions, right? That was a big learning for me. I mean, that may not be easy for you all to appreciate or understand, but look at, resetting goals from champion players like, let's say, Rahul Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar, or you can take, Federers and Nadals of the world. Once you hit a ball for 4, you don't rejoice. You have to start again for your next ball. That's the way they all prepare themselves. So champions always do this, resetting the goal and start all over again. Now that looks like a nice circular loop, right? I mean, you all have learned recursions. So it looks like, set the goal, reset the goal. Life seems to be set with this circle. But like I told you, I'm not a fan of circles. It's always square. So let's see what you do then. Okay, here, okay. So there will be a point in your career that you'll have to do some introspection and reflection about yourself. Figure out the real me in yourself, identify who you are, do that introspection, and understand what you're made of. It's very important to do this, and there are plenty of tools available in the market, like for example, psychometric tests and a bunch of tools that are available. It'll tell you what you are, right? Now, what do you do with it? It's perfectly fine to go to a coach or a mentor or a person whom you look up to and bounce that, opinions about what you are to them and seek support. Remember, acceptance and submission are critical for self-realization. And once you realize yourself better, you're going to go further beyond than what the recent goal that you have set. That's utmost important. And at that stage, you may want to look up to a diverse set of team. You have to look for people of diverse culture, background, age, or demographics, whatever it is, to seek that support. Form a trustable team that helps you go forward and achieve to the next level. Now, let's take a simple example. I mean, I showed this is something that I learned from others' mistake. I'm going to talk about a champion player here. My own personal experience will come to it. But a champion player like Federer, who had achieved almost everything at the age of 28. He didn't have to prove anything to anybody. He had gone to a place in the tennis field that no other person has gone. But then slowly he started to slip. he started to not win Grand Slam titles. He started to lose crunch points, and he was slipping out. People did write him off. That's where the champion players come in. Remember, he put together a team at that time, and guess what the team members are? He's a male athlete. He put his first team member as his wife, and the second set is 4 young toddlers, 2 sets of twins, and the third is a very elderly person, his coach, and the fourth one was 2 young, rookie, completely ranked outside tennis players who were just coming up outside of 300, 400 ATP points. And you know what he discovered after that? He discovered what is popularly called as SABR, sneak attack by Roger, and started demolishing all the other players, and he would go on to win many more Grand Slams after that. Now that is where the amount of introspection, understanding of your own self, your strengths and weakness, and critically reaching out for support. This is something that we traditionally shy away from. Remember, you don't have to solve all the problem all by yourself. Form a trustful team of diverse background and then get the job done, right? So on my own case, you're talking about introspection and stuff like that, and that's when my grandma comes to my mind, right? So that's the grandma prism. This is like, one day I come back from school, finishing my exam, but my face was filled with guilt of doing something wrong. And my grandma did not need a lie detector test or wires connected to my cell. A simple look, and she asked me, "Were you caught?" That was the only question she asked me, "Were you caught?" Yes, I was caught by helping somebody write something in their exam, and I was feeling very ashamed and guilty. It didn't take a minute for her to figure out what I am, what I went through, and they always have the best medicine to treat you. She kind of lightened me up, and guess what? We also went to a movie with a lot of friends that day, but what I will not tell you is what happened after my dad came home. Okay? So I think so if you really look back, you set your goals, right? Reach for excellence, reset your goals regularly, reflect on it. You keep doing this, you're more likely going to be at that stage of your career one of the best in what you're doing. It looks like there's nothing more to do. Everything seems to be going well, and you're going to be one of the best in what you're doing. What should you do now? Any guesses? And it'll be very counterintuitive. Huh? This one is a counterintuitive one. You disrupt yourself. It's not something that you would expect to do, but this is my own personal experience that I'd like to share here. You have to disrupt yourself. What do I mean by that? You have accumulated a lot of skills, strengths, practices, processes, which has taken you to that level, some level. You got to give up one of your strengths. Don't be foolish to give up all your strengths. Pick and choose. For example, I worked in the industry for about 20 years in communications and networking. I was kind of very well prepared in that domain. I was kind of sleepwalking through my programs. I asked this question, what do I have to give up? I didn't know. Then, when you look at the jungle, these jumbo elephants are there, and they are like, the king. They know everything, and there's nothing that can go wrong with them. What should that elephant do in the jungle if they have to disrupt? Ask the question if that elephant can walk this tightrope. Can you be agile? Can you be nimble? Can you be fast-footed? Can you fail fast? These are critical questions that I asked myself, and the first thing I gave up was to give up one of my core areas of strength, which was in the domain. And trust me, after that, I did pick up multiple, I wouldn't say multiple disciplines, because now I understand what is multidisciplinary and transdisciplinary. So I picked up multiple functionalities, right? And during that process, what happens is very interesting, right? You'll have to give up something. What does that mean? You have to unlearn certain things. You are going to go through a cycle of learn, unlearn, and relearn. This cycle kept my juices up. I was able to bank on some of the things that I have accumulated as my strength, but then giving up means I had to unlearn certain things. I had to relearn. I was able to connect certain analogies from communications domain on how, for example, let's say, your roaming works, the fundamentals of roaming, with an airlines industry of code share and interlining. They're very similar in nature. If you had not switched, you would not be able to do this. I had already solved the problem there. I could easily solve the problem here. These are things that I learned as I went along. And during that time, it is very important to adopt technology. What I also did as a part of that learning was, picked up new skills cloud adoption, AWS, Azure, things like that, to make myself ready to take on that sort of a transition, right? And it's important to disrupt and reinvent yourself so that you stay relevant. Because what you don't want to do is for a tsunami to come and hit you, you lose your job or lose your business, and then twiddle your thumbs on figuring out what to do. Because you wouldn't even know what has hit you at that time. So it's better to be proactive and preempt yourself to disrupt, right? Now comes the grandma lens. Typically, you're all students, you've not gone through the experience of toddlers, but I was a toddler, you all were a kid at that, at some stage. You ask your parents, are they relieved if they don't have to go to a hospital that week? They'll say, hell yes. Because, there were 2-3 kids at that time, one or the other will fall sick, and you are continuously on this search for the hospitals and stuff like that. But when the kids are good, parents will be very relieved and that they don't have to do anything. But that's where the grandmas come in, They come with this small cup of castor oils and then feed you with a few drops, and that will unplug the kid. That's called disruption. It's diarrhea. But then we've later understood that it's a good laxative agent. It kind of helps you do a detox and cleans up your stomach. That is, looks like the grandmas seem to have cracked all the lessons in life. After all, they are very experienced. So I was imagining if the successful management authors have to write books about grandma, what would they write? On a lighter note, maybe grandmas eat lost, 7 great grandma habits. Start with a grandma, or life lessons of successful grandmas, right? Okay, jokes apart, I'd like to leave you all with this one final thought. You all are going to graduate out of the college and kind of come to an end of your student journey. This is another counterintuitive lesson. Do not stop learning. Your learning has to be continuous. You have to be a lifelong student and learn things. And when you learn things, what you have to do is, you have to stay, here. So you got to be humble and confident. To me, if you're staying very humble, grounded, you'll be able to achieve things. And you got to be confident to face the world in the current industry to achieve more success in your life. And when you do this, let's face it, life is full of mysteries. No amount of life lessons from people like me are going to help you. That was my lesson. You create your lesson. And it's important for you to be very active listening as you go through your life or career, for you to understand what works for you, right? And when you do that, you have to be very authentic. Be true to yourself. That is something that will guarantee you, I wouldn't call success, but I would say that will guarantee the best performance out of you, right? Remember, and the last message, no prizes for guessing, grandmas rock, okay? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a pleasure here. Those are my summary for learnings, and happy to share the content with you guys later. Thank you.
Senior Director and Chief Fund Officer.
Check. Hello, check. Have more volume on the mic, please. Myself, I'm not able to hear. Fantastic morning, everybody, and it's an absolute honor and pleasure being before all of you on this coveted morning. I could have started my speech by all the flowery words in English and all the complicated words from the dictionary, but before all of which, ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು. Happy to be amongst all of you, trying to share some bits of thoughts around what I believe I wanted to leave with all of you. People say there are 3 most difficult things to do in life. 1 is to climb a wall that's leaning towards you. 2 is to talk to a girl who's leaning away from you. Many of you have experienced that. And 3 is to actually address a bunch of students early on a Saturday morning, that too in Bangalore, when you have 10 other good reasons to be at home under a blanket. So I'm sorry for bringing all of you here. But I hope the next 20 minutes I keep yourself engaged and awake, and more importantly, myself awake amidst this. But such a fabulous convention. I want to call out the management, and an absolute honor being associated with the Jain family as well. And thank you for this invite, and it's an absolute honor being here. As Ram said, my previous speaker, and he was so articulate to say about his grandma story, and it was very intriguing to try and say everybody connects with our grandmas and all that stuff. And I started remembering what my dad used to say, and I wanted to start with that, and this was not a part of my speech. And you saw all of that saying, here is India's first chief fun officer who does nothing but fun. And my dad used to ask me, Murli, you sing on stage, you travel the world, you wear fancy costumes, you do ramp walk, you do stuff for the BCCI, you make people dance, you do Guinness World Records. These are all extremely mad things. What do you do for work? I said, this is all I do for work. And he said, you get paid for having fun. You should be paying money to the company for having so much fun. So he said, if you continue to do such mad stuff, one day or the other, people from Nimans will come and take you. So I'm happy that his dream has come true, that I'm almost close to achieving that, being at Nimans today. So thank you for this as well. But life is about mad things, ladies and gentlemen. We're not here to try and lead an ordinary life and try and be just a memory in somebody's life. Remember, most people die at the age of 24 and they're not buried until they're 70. Most people die at the age of 24, they're not buried until 70. So I don't want to be talking to 1,500 more of that people in the list, but we're all path breakers. We're here to try and make a difference in our own way, in our own sphere. Each one of you already are, and you've got a great platform, but I wanted to leave you all with some thoughts, before which language of communication becomes very important. In 20 minutes, if you want to understand whatever I say, how many of you are fluent and understand English? Put your hand up. Super. How many of you are fluent and understand Kannada? Put your hand up. Awesome. And how many of you are fluent and understand Hindi? Put your hand up. Super. So here's my point. If I speak in English, all of you will understand. If I speak in Kannada, some of you will understand. If I speak in Hindi, I myself will not understand. So let's keep it going in a little bit of English here and there, and then let's see if we can pass on more and learn from you all more on what I intend to convey today. I wanted to talk to you about just 5 E's that matter, right? And we saw the 3 R's coming in. We saw 5 E's. I saw another thing about, all okay? Suddenly I turn around, I thought he's taking selfie in the middle of the stage. You're not taking selfie, right? You're taking me. Oh, good, no problem. So I just want to talk about 5 E's that matter. 5 E's from today onwards, not just for you, even for me. The 5 E's that has actually made a significant difference in life, which we at times try and take it for granted, saying, okay, it is just this and let's just move ahead and carry on with life. I'll tell you about some stories that pertain to that E, that pertains to a very offbeat story of mine. And if I can make a dream like that come true, you can do 10x better. So on that, the first E that I want to talk to you about is evolution, right? Evolution is, all of us have evolved. So I'll check the, okay, 1 second. All right, evolution. Evolution is not just about, man becoming man from monkey. Some people remain as monkeys, but then the man also trying to evolve into a better human being. What are you doing to try and evolve? The evolution here, I'm talking about evolution of a student. Are you as a student trying to evolve into and try and pass out of this institution like how your seniors did? Then you're not adding any value. Are you actually setting a new benchmark for your juniors? Are you evolving into much more significant professionals than what your seniors did and leaving a huge benchmark for your juniors? And that's evolution. I want you to question back and say, what have you evolved into in the last 3 years? Are you getting out just with a degree, or are you getting out as somebody who is a lot more better educated, a lot more better opened up? Have you taken the essential risks that are involved? Have you actually made something extremely different than what the previous generation has done? If you keep doing the same thing as yesterday, you'll remain where you are today. You need to actually run faster than what you are running yesterday to actually reach where you want to be tomorrow. So my point to you is, are you evolving with the crowd? Are you evolving, or are you stagnant? Ask this question. Are you just here to try and study and then get out with a degree? Or such kind of fests, such kind of institutions, significant amount of knowledge that shares across? Question yourself, as my first question to you, saying, are you evolving into a better student and passing out as a better senior, setting a new benchmark for your juniors? Or you're just going to be ordinary? First question to you. My second E, let me see as and when this fellow comes up. Evolution has got multiple traits, and I want to try and put that across in 3 movies that has made a big difference in life. All of us follow movies. The evolution of the word software engineer, the evolution of technical words. We are from Bangalore, so we need to talk about software engineers, etc. We are those kind of software engineers who travel 2 hours in traffic to go and write a software that makes food delivery happen in 20 minutes. So that's the kind of world that we're living in. So the evolution of software engineers also has been, the technology evolution, etc. is great, But the world, the glasses in which the world is perceiving it till 1980s, the 90s, and then the 2000 onwards, the whole evolution term is quite crazy. How many of you remember this fantastic movie that got made in Tamil and... Don't clap for that movie. Just clap for what I'm trying to tell you about the movie. What was the job of Madhavan in that movie? He was a founder of a startup, right? And what is the first revenue that he made of that startup? Anybody remembers? He was a software engineer, and in 90s that was a big thing, and a young software engineer, dude managed to actually get a doctor as a wife as well, right? Which is phenomenal in that movie, right? It's difficult in these days for software engineers to perceive that. Imagine the evolution. That time he won a 1 million contract, and that was his claim to fame, and the whole movie was about how a startup software engineer put up a 1 million contract and made a startup come true. We all remember software engineers of that era. In 90s, it was booming, and a 1 million startup means you've just made it in life, right? And then came another movie, which most of you will remember. That shouting is required for Talaivar for sure. But do you know Rajnikant's role in this movie? What was it? It was senior system software architect, right? God knows what that is. But then software architect, and then he was on US on a deputation, and when he came back, how much money did he make? He says he made at least 1,000 crores, right? And so that he can offer free education, etc. And he was a software engineer in the US, coming back from there, made 1,000 crores and wanting to serve the society. That was in the 2000s, etc. Correct? That was super, and that was the era of booming kind of a thing, where evolution, see the evolution from $1 million to at least about $100 million as a software engineer, how the movies are portraying. Then came this movie, I don't know, 90% of you must not even check what this is, but then came a movie like this called Mahamuni, in which there was a student who was going for software, who was going for 12th standard exams, and he was failing in all the exams. And the last exam, he scored about 35 marks, and the student makes this, and the teacher makes this one-line statement, saying, if you get 35 marks, you won't even get a seat in an engineering college. Gone are the stages when you are 95, 98, 99 percentile. Even if you get 30, 35, it's damn a dozen everywhere. So evolution of a software engineer today has become very ordinary, right? You need to try and step beyond that evolution to achieve something extra. And what's that extra that you're going to put to make that ordinary into extraordinary is the evolution that I'm going to ask you about. Ask yourself a question saying, are you evolving with the trend? Are you going to be yet another software, yet another computer, yet another business guy, etc., or adding that extra to become something extraordinary? That's my evolution story to all of you. My next E is education. Obviously, you're all educated. We're all educated. You're in a mind-blowing institution like Jain, who are phenomenal in what they do. The rich history, the culture, the dedication towards doing such things is phenomenal. Half the job done. But the half the job is pending with you. Education is not necessarily what happens inside classrooms, right? Do not, my statement to you on this is, do not let your studies interfere with your education. There's a world of difference. Ram spoke about lifelong learning, and that's exactly my point here. What are you educating yourself to try and become for a next level? Education is what happens to you when you're busy making. What is the thing around you? What is the surrounding that you're surrounded with? Education is lifelong. What are the skills that you're developing? Are you coming on stage more often? There are photographers who are clicking and reels that are going out on Instagram. There are, look at that guy constantly shooting multiple angles. That's a skill, that's an art, and I envy them for that. There are people who are handling multiple committees and doing their job to perfection, and putting an event like this is education. Coming and speaking, hosting this event, the boy and the girl who are doing such a phenomenal job, put a round of applause for them. They're doing such a nice job to try and do that. And the cue that I want to give them is, here is somebody who's made a career out of this for the last 25 years, just standing up before that mic all my life. So there are options available in plenty, and that's education. The point is, so many things are around you changing. What lens are you viewing this with? Are you looking at the stage as another 9 hours just sitting in the audience, eating food and going back? Or are you educating yourself saying, how can I add that touch extra? What can I do a little more better? How can I be participative in a conference? Need not be on stage. I can be a soft person. I can help in, you saw the photography exhibition that's put up outside. Go and have a look. It's just phenomenal. And that's education for me. What more can you bring to the table beyond the call of order that adds more, apart from the textbooks? You have some great learned lecturers who are teaching you stuff from the textbook, which is very important. That's theoretical knowledge. But the practical education that happens around you, engulf yourself. Surround yourself with the ears. Your ears should be everywhere to figure out what's happening that can make a world of difference that you can bring. And that's education, my friends. The third E I want to talk to you about is environment. Environment is not the society, the trees and the plants and what kind of a society we are living in. That's for another day. But where you are determines what you're known for, right? For example, read this for me together. Thin feathered crepes made with rice, thinly grinded with spices and usually filled with fillings, smeared with oil or butter on a steaming hot plate. What is this? Anybody? Louder. Bisi bela baat, who is this? I guess you're hungry, you should go out now. What is this? Louder. How come? Masal dosa, who said it? Fantastic one. Well done, my friend. Come forward, say hi to everybody. Masal dosa is the right answer. I'll tell you why I put that. Well done, that's all. You can go back now. Masal dosa, but why did I put this fellow there? That's actually the line that I have taken from a 7-star restaurant where I had masal dosa 2 weeks back in the menu card. Depending on where you are, the whole explanation of you and your life completely changes. And that's the explanation for you. What's your definition? What's your definition for yourself? What are you going to be known for? Are you going to be known as an ordinary person with an ordinary tale? Or is there somebody writing an extraordinary tale out of your life? Are you painting your life a little extraordinarily like that, which is with that flowery English? Or, remember, your life need not be as tale. Your life needs to be a fairy tale. So are you painting a fairy tale is my question. And depending on the environment you're surrounded by, right? Swami Vivekananda said, tell me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are. So your surrounding makes a world of difference to who you are. So surround yourself with people who elevate you. Surround yourself with people who celebrate you and not tolerate you. And that makes a world of difference. That environment, and you have a choice to choose the environment that you're surrounding yourself with and choose an environment that propels you to the next level and not stagnates you. Not talk about blah, blah, blah. I don't want to question about the current generation's Instagrammability, because the previous generation was a very likable generation, but the current generation is driven by likes. So do not just let that overtake your mental instincts, but surround yourself with people who elevate your environment into something more beautiful. The world is a much better place if you're surrounded by the right people, and you can pick whom you want to be surrounded by. What we surround ourselves, and I want to leave your case study here, and life is fun watching videos. So here's something that I surround myself with and what I've done in the environment to propel myself to greater things. What's the most boring day to come to college? Louder? Fantastic, thank you. Because after a party weekend, it's very difficult to try and wake up on a Monday morning and walk into. It's no different from corporates, right? In corporate also, after Saturday, Sunday, you just don't have the mindset to walk in. So there is a concept called Monday morning blues that's been there for decades. It's saying, Monday, oh my God, how do I even walk into office? It's the most demotivated day, and people plan everything on a Friday. So I broke that monotony 17 years back, and I said, let's make Mondays the most exciting day. Let's make the environment on Mondays a lot more exciting, colorful, and vibrant. So we made a drastic step towards that, and every Monday in the afternoon, when 185,000 of my colleagues at Capgemini walk into offices across the country, Monday mornings, the environment that we sow for them determines their mental ability and the mental agility and makes them happier. This is the environment when they walk into offices every Monday afternoon. Volume, please. Is there sound? Choice, I formed the band called Rubber Band. It's the longest running band in the planet anywhere. And we do the longest running show called Thank God It's Monday, where we welcome employees with music. And that's the environment we have surrounded ourselves with. Now you question yourself back, what's the environment you're surrounded and what difference you can bring to that environment? Because that environment propels you to think at the next level and make a better version of you. And that's the environment E I want to talk to you about. The next one is very, very important. Experiments are not just what we do in the laboratories, etc., is what we do with ourselves as well. My question to you is, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Our ability to try and be the new, try the new, and think of the new actually edges us in the new era. In a fast-changing world today, there are trends that are coming in. They're talking about ChatGPT, they're talking about AI, and they're talking about a lot of interesting things that are blowing our minds about. Are you ahead of the curve? What have you experimented with yourself and your life recently? As I told you, we are not here to live a life that is stale. We're here to live a life that's a fairy tale. So when was the last time you did something for the first time? And that's experiment. The more you try and be a better version, the more you experiment, you could fail, but you learn as well. The next time you start that, you don't start with a failure, you start with a learning. So question yourself, what is that new thing that you have tried? If not, it's never too late. Start trying out new things around you. Start going into that uncomfortable area where you want to be, right? I do two vacations in a year. One vacation is more of a luxury where you want to go to a place to explore the place. One vacation, obviously for the last 6 years, is to do something that I've never done before. It's to put myself in a very uncomfortable terrain, which makes me get out of some of my inner fears. So I did that 3 weeks back. I was in Vietnam for an event and I stayed back for 4 days, where I went to a remote village inside a forest where there's no connectivity and stayed with the tribals for 3 days. The tribals inside the Vietnam thing, there are agencies that arrange that for you. So without network, without proper regular of your cuisine, without an opportunity to take bath, which is the only thing that I relished because I need not take bath for 3-4 days, which is cool, which is like most of you in this room today. But what I relished most was the uneasiness around that area. For 3-4 days, you're cut off from the network. You can't follow the India-Australia cricket match. You can't follow Instagram reels. You shut your cell phone away, but you can't communicate. Those people speak Vietnamese. I speak Kannada, which seems like Vietnamese for them. So like that, there are so many amount of differences. To be with an area of people with so much amount of difference, go along with them for fishing, go along with them for hunting. They're in the middle of the forest, so anything can happen anytime in the night. So experimenting yourself in those uneasy situations teaches you something incredible. And that was an incredible experience for me. It's just heart-throbbing when I think of the learnings that I had. My job is not just on that experiments, but my job is what you do around you matters a lot. So are you trying to experiment with the scenarios around you to make a world of difference? That will propel you to tomorrow. Here is an experiment that we did. Whenever you experiment, you either fail or win. And when you win, it's a memory for a lifetime. So we experimented with something 5 years back when we wanted to do something path-breaking that nobody in the industry has ever seen. So we experimented, when you have 1,000 people here, I was there. This photo was taken by me little down there, where I was on stage watching 5,000 people, and we wanted to do something extremely crazy. I told you, right, my father said I am a mad guy and Nimans is going to pick me up. This was one of those Nimans moments for me where we did something extremely mad and crazy that the whole world looked at us in awe. And it's an experiment that I will be proud for the rest of my life. So when we had 5,000 people before me, we wanted to try and do something that the world goes gaga watching. And when we had 5,000 people, this is an experiment we took that will stay with me for the rest of my life. Sit back and enjoy this. You don't lose at all. So that was a winning where we actually created the largest Bollywood dance the world has ever seen, with 5,000 or 4,200 people dancing simultaneously, and cracked a Guinness World Record. That is going out of your ordinary and thinking something extraordinary, thinking something out of the box. The question back to you again is just not to proud about that fact, but what have you done experimentally different that sets you apart from the crowd? Think of it and find answers, or don't stop till you find answers and create new ones. That was the 4th E, which is about experiment. The last one I want to leave you about is something that's the core of my life, which is enjoyment, right? Do something where your heart belongs. And I've been fortunate enough to find a job which is all about spreading smiles. When people ask me, Mike, you've done Guinness World Records, you've done TED Talks, you've done BCCI commentary, what stands out in your life? I said the thing that stands out is 185,000 people. I get an opportunity to make them happy every single day of my life. And spreading smiles is possibly the biggest blessing that I have been blessed with in life. And that's because enjoyment is the center of everything that we do. And I've realized it the hard way. Do something that actually makes your soul smile. Not just your face. So what are you doing something? Yes, studying, being a part of such organization, being a part of such family is beautiful. Are you trying to make the most of it? Or are you trying to succumb under pressure? Are you trying to create an aura of happiness for everybody around you? Right? And that is the most important point. As a part of this education, there are few things, and I'll quiz you, and most people will know answers for this, but I want to try and revisit some of these answers, my friend, before I wind up. What does this mean? Louder. Artificial intelligence. This one? Fantastic, great learning. This one? C and C++, fantastic. And this one? Super. It's very, very important to know these skills because you can't survive in Bangalore without all 4 of this. But beyond this, I thought it's important for us to look at some of these perspectives. We've been running our lives for the last 20 years thinking this is the core of our lives. You know, if you don't know any of these 4, you don't fit into the society at all. That taboo has sunken, and I want to break that, right? It's important to try and look at artificial intelligence, etc. But at the same time, it's also equally important to use actual intelligence. You're actually trying to figure out what you really need to do. Trying to think for yourself to figure out, is this what I want to do? And use your actual intelligence, figure out where your heart calling is. Some of you could be entrepreneurs. Some of you could be the girl who danced in the dance in the beginning. Wasn't she awesome? She deserves a career in dance, and follow her instincts for that. We need to try and think beyond the box to try and conquer something. And for that, you need to use your actual intelligence to figure out where is your heart calling. Do that today, and that will be the best decision you've made in the rest of your life. Machine learning is and machine language is very important. Equally important is mother language. Where are we and what are we trying to do to try and segregate that? It's important to, I am a firm believer that it is important to try and go and experience the world, know as many languages as possible, but prioritizing Kannada first, wherever you are, whichever part of the world you are, etc. Not said just for the applause. 15 years back, I came in here from Chennai as an outsider, but today I own this piece of land like nobody's business. What this land has given me, what this culture and the people have given me is possibly something that I can't repay in 7 births, and it's my priority to wherever, whichever stage I go, saying prioritize Kannada first. Mother language is as important as anything else, because only if you do, the next 3 generations will do. And that is how we safeguard our culture, our language, and be proud of the fact that we belong here. So that's mother language. The next one, C and C++, obviously is around confidence and common sense. All of us lack that. All of us lack some of this in some sense, saying we're just getting carried away by the crowd. Don't get carried away by the crowd. Establish something unique for yourself, because your charter is completely different. Whom you see in the mirror is your only competition. You're completely different. Try and work on being a better version of yourself than yesterday, and that's more than enough. Good competition is okay, but you need not compare yourself and feel, saying, he's got this kind of a package, I've got this kind of a package. No, be happy. I'm telling the 3 Idiots story. Be happy with what you are. And lastly, and more importantly, around the scope of enjoyment, J2EE, just to enjoy everything, guys. Life is very, very short. I mean, life is too serious to be thinking of the next 10 years, 20 years, saying 30 years later, near Hoskote, I will build my villa with a swimming pool and then I'll be happy. Who knows where you will be, if at all you will be or I'll be tomorrow morning. You have no clue. Make today count. Enjoy everything that happens today and make today possibly the most beautiful day of your life. And tomorrow morning is a new day and start fresh. On that count, I want to leave you all with the last maybe 1 minute of my talk, which is the 10 things that have actually made me happy. Right? It's the 10 commandments that I have written by Mike Murli, which will soon be published into a book that I'll be happy to share with all of you. But the 10 commandments that has been the central pillar of my life is something that I share with students all over. And the 10 things that you and I can do to make a difference to our lives every day at a time are these. Number 1, have one purpose. As Ram said, have one purpose. Once you achieve it, keep elevating it to the next level. But make your direction somewhere. Don't keep just running a race in whichever direction, but have one purpose and keep running that. The purpose could be learning a new skill. The purpose could be achieving something. It could be training. It could be taking your mom somewhere. Have one purpose and keep scaling that to build a new purpose. Number 1. Number 2, do 2 things at a time. Life is too boring to be having one hat. Do multiple things at a time. If you love what if you're studying, love what you're studying, then concentrate on your passion as well. Learn guitar, learn a new language, learn cooking, start a YouTube channel, so on. Do 2 things at a time. Life is too stale to do one thing. Number 3, have 3 sets of people around you all the time. 1, to compliment you. We always need that pat on the back saying, you're doing a great job, you're looking smart, go ahead and achieve the world. Have somebody to compliment. Number 2, have somebody to compete with you. A good competition, a good friend who's there saying, let's do this together. You aim for 90, I'll aim for 90 when you aim for 92. A good competition is very, very healthy in life. Have a healthy competition. And the third kind of person is have somebody to coach you. You need a mentor, you need a guide. It could be your friend, it could be your brother, it could be a teacher, it could be a principal, it could be anybody. Some coach who always guides you in the proper channel. So commandment number 3, have 3 sets of people around you. Compliment, compete, and coach. Number 4, do something that you love 4 days in a week. Do something that you love 4 days in a week. Why 4 days in a week? Because if you do 7 days, it gets on to too stressful. Have 4 days, have 3-day gap. When I say something that you love, it's beyond your love for books, your love for studies, etc. Beyond that, follow a passion, follow a hobby. It could be photography, it could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be YouTube, it could be learning a new language, etc. Do something and invest time in that. I've suddenly started getting a beautiful craze about badminton, being coached by a state badminton coach for 4 days in a week for the last 9 months. It feels amazing when I go out for my coaching. Like that, follow and do a passion 4 days in a week. Number 5, the most important 5 minutes. When was the last time you spent 5 minutes going and appreciating somebody? Right? Appreciation and gratitude is something that we take it for granted. You must have had a great breakfast today at home or a great dinner at home. When was the last time you walked into your kitchen and thanked your mom for actually making a world of difference? When was the last time you thanked your dad for making a world of difference to your life, for the sacrifices they have made? We just take it for granted. Right? Spend 5 minutes of your time every day appreciating. Spot and keep saying, okay, 11 o'clock today, I'll go and appreciate a couple of my colleagues for the dress they're wearing, or for the speech that they did, for the dance that they did, or the song that they did, or the Instagram post. Appreciation is a great addiction. It comes back to you leaps and bounds. Spend just 5 minutes of your time. That's my 5th commandment. Appreciating somebody just comes back to you leaps and bounds. Number 6th commandment, learn a new skill every 6 months. The world is changing much more faster than what we are today. So every 6 months, brush up your skills and learn something new. It could be a new software, it could be a new way of business, it could be a new experiment that you want to do. You want to try something in entrepreneurship, trial that. Every 6 months, try and do something new because the world is changing at a faster pace than you think. That's number 6. Number 7, which is a vibe that I got very late in life. Number 7, read minimum 7 pages a day. The world on an average reads minimum 7 pages, and reading as a habit is something that I didn't inculcate for a long period. So I'm telling as many people, start early. Read biographies, read fiction, non-fiction, it doesn't matter. But read as much as you can, because the more you read, the world comes into your lap, the more you read. One of my favorite speakers on stage is the past Tamil Nadu Chief Minister, Kalaignar Karunanidhi. When somebody went and asked Kalaignar that what is the most important, after you die, when God gives you an opportunity to come back to earth and take something and go back, will you take the Chief Minister's post? Will you take your assets? Or will you take the DMK presidentship? He said, I will take all the books in my library and come back. Because reading is possibly the most important habit that stays with you till the time you go, and a book is a permanent companion. So read minimum 7 pages a day, that's what the world does. Number 8. 8 minutes of the day spend on your body. Your body is the only place where you're going to be for the rest of your life. If you don't take care of it, you'll repent for it later. Spend 8 minutes exercising, or more importantly, following a sport. Sport teaches you some of the most amazing things that management books also don't teach you. Sport teaches you teamwork, sport teaches you communication, sport teaches you leadership, and more importantly, sport teaches you the power of failure. When you drop a game, when you fail in a game, you come back harder in the next game to try and win. Follow sport for 8 minutes a day. It will change your life dramatically. Number 9, make down a list of 9 things as a bucket list that you want to achieve every year. I'm a big sucker for the movie Bucket List, and every December end, I go to a place all by myself and sit down and write 9 things I want to achieve that year. The 9 things could be things that you can be achieving in that year. It need not be that constructing that fancy villa outside where I want to say, no, it could be small things. I want to take my mom to her birthplace where she's not been for 15 years, or I want to take a couple of my friends to this hike that I've been planning for a very long time, or to this Vietnam forest was one of my bucket lists last December that I wrote down. You write down 9 things that you want to achieve. That bucket list makes life more measurable and interesting, looking forward to the next one. Lastly, number 10, nobody knows you better than yourself. Spend 10 minutes of your time every day talking to yourself on how the day has been. It's your me time. And I do that meticulously. Last night, that 10 minutes was about this morning, what I'm going to do, and what is happening later in the evening, and so on. So spend 10 minutes of your time talking to yourself. I think so life will be a better place for you one day at a time. And all that you need is coming to enjoyment is 5 minutes if you want to have fun. All that you need, when people say, I'll take fun on the Friday, I'll take fun on the Saturday, Sunday. No, all you need is 5 minutes. If you have 5 minutes, you can have all the fun you want. For example, if you just have 5 minutes to have fun, listen to a nice song, right? If you have 10 minutes to have fun, listen to this guy speak. If you have, super fun, right? If you have 2 hours to have fun, take a good nap. If you have 3 hours to have fun, watch a nice movie. If you have 6-8 hours to have fun, go on a nice drive. If you have more than 8 hours to have fun, get married. It's a lot of fun just for that 8 hours. Don't talk to me about it later then. But if you want to have fun every single day, every single moment, my friends, learn to surround yourself, learn to love what you're doing, learn to surround yourself with people more cheerful, more happy, and more bubbly than you are, right? It's like this manager who took 10 of his teammates inside a conference room, asked them to blow a balloon, write their name, keep it in the conference room, and get out. And after they went out, he told them, go inside, find your balloon the fastest and come to me. Everybody ran inside the room, finding their balloons, stamping on each other's balloon. In 30 seconds, all the balloons were burst. Nobody had their balloons at hand. And then he asked them to blow the balloon, write their name, come out. And he said, go inside, pick any balloon and give it to the person whose name is written. In 15 seconds, all of their balloons came back to them. That balloon, my friend, is happiness. If you go inside finding your happiness, you'll be stamping on others and creating unwanted ruckus. Go inside life trying to give happiness to somebody else. Your balloon of happiness will come back to you leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. All right? Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take. It is measured by the number of moments that take our breath away. Live your life to the fullest. Live happy, or at least die trying. Last but not the least, your life is not meant to be ordinary and stale. It's meant to be extraordinary and a fairy tale. Happy talking to you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been an absolute honor being before all of you. And of course, this is from my team. Please stay connected with me on social media. Instagram, Mic and Speakers are my handles. So I'd love to be connected in the larger world, make our family a lot more bigger, better, and have a fantastic day of conference. Again, thank you to the team at Jain for inviting me. An absolute honor being before all of you. Cheers. Thank you, everybody.